What do you call a fish with no eyes? A goat. Let's get right into this because there is a lot to cover today. The first thing you should know is that there's a new level 6, which means previously, a lifeless leaffish could really only go into something like white or a dolphin, which doesn't really do much, but the new level 6 basically is a transition point between your for your level 4s to basically make level 8 synchros. So lifeless leaffish got a whole lot better with the new support. So this isn't going to look like anything new, right? We just send the shift and we pass the turn. Shift will then come back, and then once our opponent makes a play, or your opponent summons a monster that you want to banish, right? Because what you can do is you can go shift and the Leaffish into the Eanoc. Now, I'm sorry about this, but I had all of these replays saved, and then this morning when I booted up Edo Pro, all of them were fucked up. So like all of the new GUUTI cards, they don't have text or anything, so I don't know what Edo Pro fucked up, but I'm gonna explain these the best I can, or you can just Google them. So Eanoc, when it's synchro summoned, you can banish a fish from your deck. So on summon, we are going to banish the Zep, and the Zep, at the moment it is banished, if it is the opponent's turn, it will summon itself. So it is the opponent's turn, we banish it, it will immediately summon itself. And then Zep has not a quick effect to synchro, but an on summon effect to synchro. So again, on summon, we're just going to go straight into the ass can. So this is the main disruption tool that isn't the board wipe. So if you're just trying to, if you need the single target removal, Ascan is your boy, and you can make it now with just the Leaffish, which is incredible. So next we're going to get 2 effect triggers here. We're going to go Chainlink 1 Orion, Chainlink 2 Ascan. Ascan, if you don't know, it just targets 2 cards on the field, including a fish, and banish them, so we're going to target itself and the opponent's monster that we want to banish. And the Orion, if it's sent to the graveyard for a synchro summon, you can banish any fish from your grave, and then add a fish from your deck to your hand equal to or lower than the level of the monster you banished. So for example, right, the Ascan is going to banish itself and the monster we choose, and we are going to banish the Orion off of its own effect to search for a level 6 or lower, which is going to be the Snopius. This card is also very good. Next, we're going to use the Ascan effect. Since it was banished, we're going to banish the shift to summon it back, and then of course during the standby phase this shift will also come back as well. Now the Snopius, what it does is that it's a quick effect. You can banish 2 fish from your hand or graveyard to summon, and on summon you can target a monster on the field, and that monster will be banished when it leaves the field. So it can either be an additional follow-up extender, as you'll see in the after this turn passes, or you can use it to target an opponent's monster and it will be banished when it leaves the field. So for example, like a Tier Element Kit Kalos, if you just want to put the effect on the kit, if they try to use its effect to send a grave and then summon, it will get banished and they won't get to mill 5 off of its effect. So this can be an extender as well as a disruption. So technically you can have 2 disruptions just off of the Leaffish. For this example, I'm going to summon the Snopius and target itself, because this deck has insane follow-up now, right? So we just end on these two beaters that don't do much, right? During the standby, we will get the shift back here. We can immediately go for a Synchro 8. And now the Snopius, when it's banished, we can banish a fish to add it back to our hand. So now we get the Snopius back once again. And then, so now we have like, you know, we have the card we drew, we have the Snopius, we have 2 level 8s. You can even make like a level 10 with the Shift and the Ascan. And then like, there's some replays later on that shows this off better. So I guess I'll just wait until then, but yeah. Now, unfortunately, that's really the only 1-card combo in the deck. If you want to go even further and make like some much different and more powerful boards, you're going to need at least a 2-card combo. The upside to that is there's a variety of 2 cards that can get you to the same position. So as long as you're playing like 3 of the most important combo pieces, you'll almost always have access to like pretty much the full board. For this example, we're just going to do Paces and the Leaffish. So we're going to normal the Paces, we're going to banish it to summon the Leaffish. Leaffish will then dump the Shift. Now again, we pass on nothing special, but as is the course of the fish, they will all come back, and we can start making plays during our opponent's turn. So, for example, you know, let's say our opponent starts summoning a bunch of dudes, and there's something we need to get rid of. So we're going to go for the Orion Post line again. Banish the Zep. Zep will come back. And this will make the Ascan. And then we get both the triggers here. This will be just like last time. We're going to get the Snopius. And we're going to banish the Paces to bring back the Ascan. And then at any point during our opponent's turn, we can just go straight for the Deep Beyond. And this will be like the full banish board wipe. So the Deep Beyond is going to banish the entire board. If they still try to keep playing, you can maybe do something with the Snopius. But other than that, you're basically using this for follow-up on the crackback to like just kill your opponent next turn, right? Because if your opponent can't play through the full board banish, they're probably not going to be left with very much, right? So we're going to get everything back here during the standby. We're going to get the Shift, we're going to get the Paces, we're going to get the Deep Beyond. Just everything you could ever want. The first thing you want to do, in my opinion, is go straight for a Synchro 8. Because if you used Snopius effect on itself, it'll be banished. Which means you can banish the Ascan to add it back to hand. And then the Ascan will trigger to summon. So now we're just basically playing Synchro Spam at this point with all of our fish monsters, right? And you should be able to make like a Ching-Ying and then banish stuff to summon the Snopius, and this will also trigger Ching-Ying to banish monsters on field or grave if they have any. And then these guys are just absolutely massive. Ching-Ying gets bonus attack based on banished monsters. Deep Beyond gets bonus attack based on banished monsters. You can set up negates and stuff as well. So the crackback with this deck is now just insane. The amount of stuff you get off of just 1 or 2 cards in the opener is pretty nuts. Another super nice card to have in the deck is Abyss Shark. Now you've probably seen the Supay Duskwalker from like MBT's video. I would recommend you play either Abyss Shark or the Duskwalker. I would not play both because they're just like really counterintuitive to each other. I think Abyss Shark really helps you make like Bahamut Toad, whereas the Supay Duskwalker helps you just turbo out your Ghoti monsters. So it really just depends on like the style of build you're going for, right? But this is a showcase of how the Abyss Shark can work here with just the paces. So we're going to normal summon. We're going to use the Abyss. This will summon itself out and search for the Leaffish. That's why this is a reason I think this card is pretty nice, because you can just straight up search Leaffish. And if you haven't normaled yet, you can just normal it. If you have paces, you can banish the paces to just summon the Leaffish, and then, as you all know, this just gets you to the full combo, right? Leaffish, paces, and shift. That's the full 6, 8, 10 synchro line right there. Now if you can leave this Abyss Shark on board. If you have another extender, you can use this to make like a rank 4 or something. But otherwise, you can just link it off for something like a Coral, just because the Abyss Shark has 1200 attack, the Coral has 2000, so maybe maybe that matters to you. It doesn't make a huge difference either way. Because at the end of the day, I mean, look, this is the same board we had in the last combo, just with the Coral. Now, if the Coral survives, then, you know, you're chillin'. Because you could use its effect again next turn. Right, so our opponent starts, like, spamming the board. We're just gonna go for the full line that I've already shown you before. We're just gonna speed right through it, right? Banish one monster. If they keep trying to play the game, you can just go straight for the Deep Beyond. Banish the whole board. Right, and then you get the Snopius for the follow-up. And then on the crackback, you just have absolutely more than enough material to start just killing your opponent, right? You can even play something like White Aura Whale if they have a bunch of defense position monsters, because it does piercing. Right, so just insane amounts of damage on the crackback if your opponent can't play through the banish board wipe. So not only did Ghoti get a new synchro monster, they also got a new trap card. Which is where Eanoc shines, because Eanoc is the trap searcher, of course. So neither of these cards are new. You probably should know what these do already. Eanoc gets to search for the trap card. Now I wish you could see the text, but Edo Pro fucked something up. But I'll explain what it does when we get there. Right, so this sets up the Synchro 8 on the opponent's turn, just these two, which is fine. Because that's kind of that's where you're trying to get in the first place. So what we're going to do here, our opponent is going to have two monsters, right? We can do Azcan effect to banish him and one monster, and then we can chain the Fury. Now the Fury is basically the same effect as Azcan, where you target a fish and a monster your opponent controls, and you banish them until the end phase. Now Azcan's effect, it says target a fish you control and one card your opponent controls, banish them, right? It is not like a then, it is not an if you do, it's just banish them straight up. So if you use the Fury targeting the Azcan and the second monster, this will banish both of them first, and then Azcan will still resolve, banishing the second monster. So with the Azcan and the Fury, you can basically get rid of two monsters at once. One of them will come back during the end phase, but that's not a huge deal. And of course, since the Azcan is banished off of either Fury's effect or its own effect, we're going to banish the paces to summon it back. And then we can go for the paces during the standby. The monster we banished off of Fury is going to come back. But basically this just lets us go straight into a Synchro 10, right? Alright, here is the alternate 2-card combos, which is going to be Leaffish and Abyss Shark. So Leaffish will give us access to our Ghotis, and Abyss Shark will give us access to just additional extenders we can use for rank 4s, link 2s, things like that. So we're going to go for the Leaffish, we're going to banish the Schiff as usual. We're going to go for the Shark, we're going to add the Ixeep. This is a new card as well. The main effect you need to know from this is that if a fish monster is banished, on a new chain after the card is banished, you can summon the Ixeep. So it's like a level 4 extender whenever a fish is banished. So right here, for example, we're going to banish the Schiff, and this will trigger the Ixeep to summon. And then from here we can make something like a Bahamut Shark using our 2 level 4s. This will make the Toad, which you all know what Toad is, I hope. If not, you better learn, because it's going to be everywhere. Then we can use these 2 to make the Coral. Because Abyss Shark being level 5, there's pretty much no synchro plays you can make with this card that are actually useful. So what we actually need to do is use the Coral to bring back one of our level 4s. So that now during our opponent's turn, we get the Schiff, and then this will go into the 6, into the 8. And then if you have another tuner, it'll go into the 10 as well. So now you have the Banish with the Azcan, and a Toad, which will be an Omni Negate, and then you can recycle either the Fish or the Shark, depending on which one you need more, right? So if our opponent just like starts playing, you know, you can like negate a card, you can steal it with the Toad. Toad will add back the Leaffish so that you can do this combo all over again next turn. Right, and then of course the Arian into the Zep, into the Azcan, blah blah blah, you get the idea, right? Another card that I really like in the deck is Ready Fusion. Because Ready Fusion is so versatile depending on what you need, right? It can make a level 6, so you can go for Synchro 8s. It can be a level 2 tuner, so that like the Alvan plus the Leaffish makes the level 6 the Orion, right? So it lets you make Orion turn 1 rather than on the opponent's turn, which is cool. Or it can be the level 4 to make Bahamut Shark. So if you just have 3 extra slots that you want to put in for Ready Fusion, this card does it all. It does all of it. I've been playing it in my build and it's been fantastic. For this example, we're just gonna go for the Schiff, right? Leaffish Schiff, the main combo. Now here we're gonna show off that you can do the turn 1 Orion, right? This will banish the Paces. So now we are sitting on the Schiff and the Paces, right? So this goes into the 8s, this goes into the 10s, this is basically full board. Right, Azcan, you get to search for the Orion here. Yep, search for the level 6, or you can search for another Leaffish if you really want to. So super versatile card. I highly recommend testing out Ready Fusion. It can just be anything you want at any given time. Just pay attention to the clock when you pay 1,000. Alright, now we're getting into kind of like the too good to be true territory. Where we're talking about a 3-card combo here, right? So Deepest Depths, Paces, Abyss Shark. There are tons of ways to get to like Deepest Depths and Paces if you want to play something like Foolish Burial Goods, Piri Reese Map to search Paces. Beautiful Princess can also summon the Paces. So there's plenty of ways to get here, but you still gotta get here. But the boards you can make off of this is just so nice. Alright, we're going to use the depths, summon the paces. We're going to use the shark here. We're going to get the Leaffish. We're going to banish the paces for the Leaffish. Leaffish, send Shift. Now instead of using Shift's effect, we're going to banish it with the depths to add the Ixeep. Now Ixeep works the same as Salamangrate Gazelle, or if you banish a card to add it, because it triggers on resolution, it will remember that this card was banished, which means the moment that you add it, you'll get to summon it. If you're familiar with like Signet Mining, searching Gazelle, it's like the same principle. So now we get to go straight for the Bahamut here, into the Toad, into the Coral, bring back the level 4, so that now we can get the paces back, we can get the shift back. And this is just the full Ghoti combo, plus a Toad, plus the depths, which will give us searching next turn. It'll give us a lot of follow-up next turn as well. And of course, here's another 3-card combo where we just replace the paces with the Leaffish. I actually don't remember what this does. We're sending paces here instead of the shift. Interesting. We're gonna use the Abyss Shark to add the Ixeep actually, because Ixeep can be searched off of Abyss Shark, and it is an extender that isn't Silent Angler. So Silent Angler, if you summon it, you can't summon from hand the rest of the turn. But if I remember correctly, we will be wanting to summon again from the hand. So if you're able to banish a monster, Ixeep is the better extender, because it doesn't lock you, right? We're going to go for the Bahamut Toad line. And then we're going to link off the Shark and the Shark for Abyss Keeper. I talked about this card in my first GUUTI video, but this card is sick. We're basically just going to use it to summon the Eanoc just straight up, right? Like no fancy shit here. Just if it's summoned, you summon a fish from your hand. So just drop the Eanoc. Eanoc will trigger, summoning the paces, and then we can banish the paces for the Fury. So I've talked about Fury already. So now we get the paces back, right? So now we have the Azcan Fury combo, which is like 2 monster banishes, as well as the Toad, which is an Omni Negate. And then we have the depths just for even more follow-up. So I've talked about Abyss Shark. Abyss Shark is my preferred extender for the deck, but I know some people prefer the Duskwalker instead. So play either one or the other. I prefer Abyss, but some people do like the Duskwalker because of the turn 1 plays. Because it is basically just a 1-card Orion that doesn't use your normal summon, but you are locked into synchros, which doesn't matter at all, because this is the only monster you're going to summon from the extra deck this turn anyway, right? So we're going to be able to use the Orion on summon to send the Shift. Right, so this is basically just the Azcan, and that's about it. Right, it's just a 1-card Azcan, which can be nice if you also draw like Fury or something, or if you have like the Paces and the Eanoc as well. So having this as just a 1-card Azcan that doesn't use your normal, it can be very nice. I do see the appeal, but I won't fault you for playing this, because making the Orion turn 1 is very solid. And of course, since the Supay Duskwalker does not use your normal, if you draw any of your level 2 tuners, you get to go from the Orion normal summon any of your level 2 tuners, or ready fusion for the bird. That's a level 2 tuner as well. This lets you make the Dragite. And since you will have a water engrave, the Dragite will be a spell trap negate, as well as being able to search for the Snopius turn 1, which can be useful if you have like a bunch of fish extenders like in your grave as well. And of course the shift that we banished will come back here. So for example, they activate like a power spell that we want to negate, like a branded fusion or something. Like we just can't let that resolve. We can go from the Dragite to negate because we still have the water engrave. And then once they start building up their board, you know, if you negate their spell, like if you negate their sprite starter or something, they're pretty much only playing with monsters from hand at this point. So once they start like summoning shit and they try to make like a gigantic or whatever, you can just go ahead and banish the whole board. This will banish the whole board. You should have 2 fish and yeah, you should have the Paces and the Shift engrave for the Orion. And then you can use its effect targeting itself. Right, and then next turn you get everything back. Absolutely everything comes back here. So you can make pretty much whatever you want from this position, right? This is just absolutely everything. Alright, now let's talk about Jesse Cotton's favorite card, Dimension Shifter. Ghoti as a deck is all about banishing. However, certain cards do require that you have fish in your graveyard for specific effects like Azcan that recycles itself. The level 6 Synchro needs to banish a fish from grave in order to get the search. So while the deck can full combo through Shifter, what it does not give you is follow-up. So while I do recommend playing Shifter in the deck because it just skips your opponent's turn if they're playing a deck that gets hurt by it. And you get to set up your board under the Shifter as well. And even if you're going first, like right here, let's just say we both drop Shifter. I wouldn't recommend playing Shifter against Ghoti. I wouldn't recommend like siding that in. You'll probably be better off siding in literally anything else. Because, for example, Leaffish sends from deck to grave, right? But if you're just sending a Shift or a Paces, you just want it banished anyway, right? So you're just like skipping a step to get to where you want to be anyway. Right? Because Leaffish plus the 2 level 2s, that's the 6, the 8, and the 10. So that's the Azcan and the full board wipe under Shifter. So if your opponent is playing through trying to play through Shifter, they now have to deal with like 2 more banishes and a board wipe on top of the Shifter. So even if your opponent like instant fusions out like a Kit Kalos or something and tries to search, right, you can just go for the banishes. And something like White Aura Whale is super useful under Shifter because the Azcan won't be able to summon itself back because you don't have any fish in grave, right? So if you want like a double board wipe, you can go for the White Aura Whale, which when synchro summoned destroys all attack position monsters your opponent controls. So that's like 1 board wipe. And then if they try to keep playing, you can go for the Deep Beyond, which is like a 2nd board wipe. So you get 2 board wipes under Shifter. Here is yet another Shifter combo that another play you can make if you draw Shifter or if your opponent Shifters you for some reason, because even Sprite players are playing Shifter these days. Pretty much everybody everybody that isn't tier is playing this card, so that's why I'm showing these off, so that you're ready for it. Right, we're gonna send the Shift. It's gonna get banished anyway, because who cares? We're gonna use the Abyss Shark for the Angler this time, because if we search for the Ixeep, we have no way to banish anything, so just go ahead and get rid of that. And then you can make something like a Stealth Kraken, because Abyss Shark, if you use it for a number exceeds, it can be a level 4. So we can make like certain rank 4s that don't get hurt by Shifter, like Kraken. Right, and then Shift will come back, and then Shift and Leaffish is like the 6 into the 8 combo, and then you have the Kraken as well. And if you're playing Floodgates like Gozen or Rivalry, well, you probably shouldn't play Rivalry with Kraken on field, right? But if you're playing like Gozen, like you have Gozen, Kraken, Shift into the Banish, under Shifter too, like. And I guess I'll do something that I haven't done since my Marincess video, which is just go over some test hands. This is the build I'm currently rocking. You can see I'm going very heavily into the combo version of the deck. I think Coelacanth is trash. So we're basically just going for, like, you know, Bahamut Toad, Turbo, you know, banish as many cards as we can, use Abyss Keeper and Coral to extend even more. I'm still messing around with ratios. Like, I don't know if I want to play 3 Ixeep. I don't know if I want to play 1 Fury or 2 Fury. I don't know if I want to play 3 Ready Fusion, because this card is insane. Desires, I think, is absolutely broken in this deck. Please play it. And then for the hand traps, just 3 Shifter, 3 Nibiru. Because I just want those, like, blowout hand traps. This is what I'm rocking. You can, like, tweak this however you want. Like, you can take out the maps and the Ixeeps for 3 more hand traps or whatever. But yeah. 1 Snopius, because you search this as part of the main combo, so you really don't want more than 1. 2 Zep, because if you banish 1 Zep off of Desires, right, like if you go full combo during your turn, and then like you use Desires to like maybe draw into some trap cards or like some hand traps or whatever, if you play 1 Zep and you banish the 1 Zep, you're just screwed. So I play 2 just for that extra security. Plus like Zep into Abyss Shark is still like full combo, so you're just chilling as well. So it's not bad. But let's just do some test hands here. Yeah, we'll do no opponent, whatever. Alright, so this hand's pretty nice. We're just gonna start off with the Gold Sark here. We're gonna banish the Paces because we have no other way to really get this in the grave. This will also just trigger our Ixeep as well. Yeah, so Gold Sark plus Ixeep is God combo. We can use the Depths here. So we can use our normal on the Shift. I think that's the right thing to do. Kinda wish we didn't have to use the Ixeep, because that would be a good follow-up. But that is fine. Go for the Angler here. We'll go for Bahamut Toad. Typically, most of the time, you will be making Toad before the 5th summon, because this deck doesn't summon that much at all. Like, most of the time you're just going to be summoning like 3 or 4 times. But typically you can make Toad before the 5th summon if you really need to. We're going to summon back the Ixeep here. We're going to use the Shift, targeting the Ixeep. And then, no reason to make that. So unfortunately, we don't have any of our like blowout cards. But this is a Omni Negate, a Monster Banish, and a full board wipe off of this, so even without hand traps, you're still looking at 2 disruptions plus a board wipe, which could be hard to play through. Okay, see, this hand is interesting because we have Paces plus the Fish, which on its own is already like full combo, but we do have the Ready Fusion as well, so there might be some way that we can make Toad here as well. But just in case there isn't, we can just go for the standard play here just to get these guys. I guess technically I could go for a Ready Fusion into the Orion as well, but that seems bad because we already have both tuners banished. I think I'm actually going to Desires here and see what we get. Shifter, that's not a good thing to draw after Desires. We probably should have just sat on the basic stuff, I think. Like, even this Gold Sark is just dead. Like, we already have both of our tuners banished, so this Gold Sark doesn't do anything either. Yeah, so we drew 2 dead cards off the Desires. That's pretty unlucky. But we still get both Paces and Shift back with the Orion on board. So we still have all of our main interaction here. We just had like really terrible draws off the Desires. If it was a Fury or like an Abyss Shark, we would have been chilling. That's just really unfortunate. Speaking of unfortunate, Shifter plus Nib. I think at this point you just like map, and then like change Shifter, search something, and then just pass, right? Because they have to play through Shifter and Nibiru. I think you just like chill. Okay, here's an interesting one. So we have the Nib if we're going second. We have the Gold Sark. We're gonna go ahead and Gold Sark first. Just to get the Paces out of the deck. And we will have to Desires here. Hopefully we hit a 4. Okay, we do hit the Ixeep actually. So we do get to go for all of this stuff here. We'll take the Leaffish for follow-up next turn. I think that's really about all we can do. We banished the Angler, it looks like. Yeah, that sucks. Yeah, could be worth it to play 2 Angler as well. For that reason, because of Desires. We also drew the Eanoc, even though we already drew the Fury, so we get double Fury here. I guess if we were playing like Chain as well, we could have Fury plus Chain. Okay, and then a hand like this is just a hand like this is just the God hand. It doesn't get much better than this. Only thing that would have made this better was just having a Shifter. Unfortunately, no Shifter. we'll get the Eanoc here, as well as the Ixeep. We can go for the Orion straight off the rip. This will banish the Shift for us. I also have considered playing like a rank 6, but there's just not any good ones other than like Beatrice, but like even then, like what is Beatrice gonna really realistically do for you? Alright, so we get the Fury here. We can go for the Depths, banish the Paces, so that we get that back next turn. We can add whatever we want here. I'm not gonna add the Snopius because we're gonna search it off of the Orion anyway. We'll just add another Paces, I guess. And then that's about all we're gonna do. So we're gonna Desires last. We draw into another Fury. Awesome. And another Desires. Awesome. 2 more dead cards. Alright, so this will be standby. We'll get the Shift back, as well as the Paces back. So this will be either 2 level 8s or 1 level 10. So you can go for the 8 into the 10 plus the Fury, or you can go for 2 level 8s plus Fury. Just depending on what you need. And if your opponent like snipes 1 Fury with a Cosmic, you still have another one just chilling. Yeah, Paces plus a Bishark does get you to the optimal board. And we keep drawing the Nib, but not the Shifter. Yeah, this is also full combo. Here we go. We get the Shifter, the Fusion. You can use the map, change Shifter. This will get us Paces. And then that's time in the round, so we lose. Yeah, Paces, Angler, Ready Fusion, that's like full combo. And then we can Desires for just to see what we get. A Bishark, that's also very nice. Yeah, this build does lack hand traps, but I do like how much gas you can have. Just to be able to make like Toads and stuff way easier. Because I think Toad is super nice for the Omni, because this deck doesn't have negates, right? Like if you summon your dudes, and then your opponent just like activates Raigeki or Dark Ruler, like you just lose. There's nothing you can do. I mean, Toad doesn't negate Dark Ruler either, but you know, against like Raigeki or power spells like what is it, Ultimate Slayer? Like you can negate that as well. Like just random board breakers, just get rid of them with Toad so that you can actually make your plays.